So, welcome to the show, Ashley. This is I'm Brian still, and with me today is Ashley Owens. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Okay, so I had this like last minute flurry of an idea that I needed to say. I figured something out, and I need to share it with everybody that's listening to the podcast because if I learn something, it means that someone else is struggling, probably from the same kind of mental blocks that I've had. And I learned something today interacting with you on social media.
I'm excited.
And so here's what I learned, and I wanted to get your take on this, and you can share it with the listeners. But before we do that, like build suspense. Ash, tell the crew what you're up to and how it's going.
I would just like all the listeners to know I found out about this about 5 minutes ago. I'm at a conference and he goes, "Can we just jump on?" I'm like, "I got a break for an hour. Sure, let's do this." So my name is Ashley Owens. I'm tired now because I sprinted up to the hotel room. I am a networking concierge. I get hired to attend events on behalf of my clients. And right now I'm currently in New Orleans at a conference on behalf of my client. I've been working in this business for about 6 years now. And I teach, educate, and train people on how to generate revenue by networking with intention. But my baseline is I network so you don't have to. So people hire me when they're introverted, amazing business owners who just don't like networking, and they send me out to go and be the peacock at these conferences. I speak at conferences on networking. I had a not stuck at networking, and I had the pleasure and the privilege of also teaching at Temple University personal branding. So that is what I do. So I'm scooting around in different locations. I'll be going to another conference tomorrow morning. So it's first couple of days I'm in New Orleans. Tomorrow I will be in Hollywood, California, and then I've got a couple weeks off, and then I get to go back on the circuit again. So yeah, it's been a whirlwind kind of couple of days.
That's awesome. And so that networking that's kind of underneath all of that, or behind that, or in front of it, to the left of it, yeah, right. It's all about relationship development. And that's my aha moment, having been a lurker on social media now since the beginning of social media, and doing nothing but looking at all these posts and feeling bad, right? Oh, look at that. They've got a nice house, or, oh, look at that business. It's going so well. Or look at this other owner doing great. I learned today, of like all days, that it's actually about a conversation. That if you're not alone, I know, right?
Where have you been? You all right?
See,
did I call someone?
I told you this is an interesting observation that that it's not just about spewing out your marketing stuff. It's about having conversations, and it's easy as a lurker to view it the wrong way. As a passive participant in social media, it's very easy to look at all the marketing and go, "This is a waste of my time and effort." But in the several interactions you and I have had, and I've seen, over, the past couple of years with you and the other folks that you're working with, in many ways, Ash, you taught me that it's a lot more about having a conversation. So can you share how that works?
Sure. So think of it as, and this I learned a while ago, but think of it as if people are reaching out or they're commenting on something that you've posted, they've taken a second out of their day to say something because they're engaged or they've bought into whatever you're doing. So why would you not leave the door open for a conversation, or why would you not respond to those people saying, "Thank you so much. I appreciate you doing this," because they're going to want to comment more. They're going to want to talk to you more. They're going to want to, they're buying into your branding, but without buying, they're not actually, there's no transactional thing there. There is a supporter. There's somebody who's going to share your stuff, somebody who's going to refer you to say, "You know what, she's real funny and she does networking. I'm pretty sure she knows somebody that can help you." And that's at the baseline. What you want your business to be is be somebody that they can rely on in some form or fashion. It could be for your business. It could be for, a reference or an introduction, but getting people in front of you is always the goal. So if you're doing social media, I personally love to connect, to celebrate, and to collaborate. So those are the three things that I do on every platform. If I'm connecting with somebody, I'm communicating with them directly. If I'm collaborating, I'm sharing their stuff, or we're doing something together, or I've had the privilege of getting this opportunity from somebody else, and then being able to say thank you so much to this person who provided me with that opportunity, and that also goes into celebration. So I do something called the E3 method. It's extract, educate, and entertain in the post itself. So you're extracting a story that happened today or happened throughout the week or some kind of lesson. You're educating on what the lesson learned is. Or let's say, for example, you go and you're walking down the street and you look at a bird, and that bird reminds you of your grandparent, or that bird reminds you of the tattoo that you got when you were 17, or that bird reminds you of, your sister who sometimes is too chirpy in your face about stuff, right? Love my sister, not a reference, but you get the point. When you take that concept and say, this bird reminds me of something happy in my life, let's say it reminds me of my grandmother. What did my grandmother teach me that reminds me of that? She was the matriarch of the family. Why is it important to have a matriarch in the family? Why is it important to have really good women in your life to teach you independence, to teach you how to be a leader, and to also just stand up to the patriarchy if that is bringing you down in some areas? So that one bird, that one experience brought up this idea, and then how do you educate somebody in the lesson learned? That has everything to do with me as a person, and it also translates into my brand because my business is mine. It's me. It's part of me. It is a part of that whole process. So when you are having a conversation with somebody, they're buying into you. Why not open the door for a conversation? Why not open it up for a connection? Or how can you support them? How can you help them? And so social media is a great way of being able to do that.
Yeah. And I think one of the things then that leads me to like the natural next question is, how do you take the anonymous lurkers like myself and bring them into an active conversation? And I imagine that's the process is somewhat similar to the in-person networking you're doing.
Sure.
Work in the room. Can you help with that a little bit? Because that seems like really curious too.
If they follow you, if they like your stuff and don't comment, or if they're just engaging over 3 or more posts, they're there. They're just not in the process of having something thoughtful to say that they feel like is worthy of everybody else looking at. So if they're a lurker, what I'll usually do if somebody likes or comments that I haven't met before, or they're new to my network, I'll reach out to them on a DM and saying, thank you so much for commenting and liking. If there's anything that I can do to support you, please let me know. What you're doing in this space is really interesting to me. And if I do get a response, that's fantastic. If I don't, no big deal, but at least I reached out in some way that was intentional. Lurkers usually are people, and I'm saying this within the most love of my heart, they're just not ready to communicate out loud to other people. But you and I have had a friendship for a while. So when you started posting, I was like, Brian's here. That's cool. And you're... Really, I'm in the middle of a conference scrolling through because I'm at this. I mean, it's a nice conference, but like I can't. There's only so much people I can stand who don't know how to speak that are on stages. Anyway, so I'm going through and I spit out the coffee that I had, and it was so loud and it was so inappropriate that it made me love you even more. But also like, hi Ryan, how's it going? And it cracked me up. So like stuff, and look what just happened.
Right?
You messaged me and you're like, hey, Ash, let's jump on a call. I said, sure. So the level of humility that you have to have on these platforms is you may not know exactly what kind of value I bring to clients yet, right? That's okay. That's not what I need from you. I don't need anything from you. Your friendship is what I want, right? Doing things like this is fantastic. You and I have a great friend, together, Sean Boyce, who we love dearly. That's enough for me. So when you think of lurkers, it's not about people who don't comment. It's about people who aren't ready yet to provide value in a way that they think is necessary on a social platform. So opening the door is always a fun thing. A story about that quickly. I've had a lot of coffee, clearly, because I spilled the one that I had because of your comment. Thanks, buddy. But I had a woman who just reached out. I think I posted about her. Her name is Dr. Dom, and she goes, I've been watching you for years, and it just took me now to reach out. She's like, I needed to take the step to reach out just to learn more about what you did and how I can support you. And I said, let's go. Having somebody take that step to talk to another human, everyone has different levels of social anxiety. It is not my turn to judge. There's no reason for me to do that. If you are comfortable enough knowing that you have social anxiety to reach out to me and say, I'd love to chat, that warms my heart more than anything else. So meet people where they're at. Hopefully that helps.
That's huge, right? So, and when it comes to that, helping those folks that may be on the fence and engage, move through, the whatever your funnel or whatever, it's really weird, right? Because you have to balance both, like these are people and prospects. And like we approach those things from almost two different mindsets, right? So a prospect is somewhere in a funnel. A person is someone with a cat, right?
Right.
Right. How do you balance that?
There's no gray area. I'm sorry, there is a gray area, meaning I don't ever go at either differently. I go at everybody the same way with compassion and curiosity. So if there is a need after getting to know them first, like I have the privilege of being able to pick my clients now. I didn't always have that privilege. Now I have that privilege. So my threshold of who the people that I want to work with, for me, have to fit a certain vibe. They don't have to be like me. In fact, I want them the complete opposite of me. But there's always something I'm looking for that I know is going to match really well with my personality and how I can best support them. If they're not a right fit, I got 4 other people I can send them to for different reasons. But when I reach out to a prospect or when somebody reaches out to me that I think could be a potential prospect, there's always a different conversation on the second meeting. The first meeting is always met with humility and compassion. So I don't ever go at either with a different mindset. I want to get to know you first before I take your money.
That's part of really the way sales has evolved, right? It's now relationship-based selling, and the relationship's got to be legit and it's got to be real. It can't be fake, because then you get into the whole, like, I got sold a bill of goods or I got fleeced, and that's like a horrible place for everybody. So a couple of things. First things first, thanks for like the impromptu podcast episode. This is awesome. But I'm like, wait a minute, Ashley needs to know this. I had like the spider senses tingling. And so before we wrap here, I wanted to ask you a couple quick things. First, who should reach out to you and how should they get a hold of you?
Oh, the best way to reach out to me is through my email, which is ashley@ashley.assists.com. I am available through LinkedIn. Those are the 2 main areas you can connect with me. You can, my phone number is on my website, so you can always shoot me a text. Ideally, emails I live by because I use them also as task lists. So that's the best way to get in my inbox. But LinkedIn is also the fastest way to get through DMs. And then my website's also available, but that's more of a compository of stuff. But yeah, email and LinkedIn are the 2 fastest way to get to me.
Awesome. And in your networking journey, what are the 3 biggest things you picked up along the way?
Oh, dear Lord, this is a
You're
very
welcome.
conversation for a very long topic. Dear God.
You're welcome.
3 top things are the worst. I quit. 3 top things that I get along the way. Everyone is human. You have to, I know I said this before, but you have to meet people where they're at. If you're, you know what I learned from you the first time that I talk about all of the time, and I give you credit, and I talk about this at my students. I said, you do not have to know business. Who runs businesses? People. People run businesses. So if you know people, you know business. And so if you know, that came directly from you. So I use that line all of the time.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. And so to that point, you don't need to know business, you need to know people. So learn emotional intelligence, understand your own personality type, understand what drives you and what depletes you, because that is going to be the targeted area to go in and meet with the right people and be able to identify the right people. The third thing would be plan your work and work your plan. So when you go to a conference, when you go to some place that you're a little bit nervous to go to, if you have a goal, make it achievable. Make 2 meetings. I want to see if I can get 2 meetings on the calendar. And then everything else is Gucci. Everything else is gravy, right? So the goal is have an achievable goal. And then anything above that, you're going to want to go back and forth to these events and then have loftier goals that you'll be able to achieve. So I've got a couple of KPIs to hit at the conferences. The first day I hit the KPIs within 3 hours. Today I hit the KPIs and then some in about 2.5. But that takes repetition and knowing what my goals are. And then everything else allows me to be more free and not so targeted. And then I get to go, there's a karaoke thing tonight, which makes me so happy. And then I invited everybody to go. And now I'm almost afraid to go because it's a different side of me that all these lawyers have not seen before.
Right.
So it's either going to be real good or I'm going to lose my job. I'm not really sure yet, but it's going to be, but like stuff like that. When my brain goes into, I achieve the goals that I wanted to achieve. My client is very happy. My teammates are happy. And they feel safe and comfortable and they can rely on me. That has to hit before I give myself the privilege of going out and doing things like that with the group. But let me tell you something, going and doing networking at a bar, in the hotel bar is better than the networking stuff at the conference itself, because everyone's scooting around and everyone's having their guards are down. So just worry about going into a conference and freaking out about all the people, like go to the hotel bar at 6:00. Everyone's gonna be there.
That's the tagline for this episode, by the way.
What is
Ashley says, "Go to hotel bar at 6:00."
Yeah, go to hotel bar at 6:00.
It's perfect. Perfect. Well done. Mission over. Mission complete. So, thank you again so much for being on the episode. I think we have more to talk about. It's quite clear to me that we have lots of things that we can share with the peeps that the folks that are listening to the show. And so let's talk again sooner than later.
Always, dude. I can't wait to see this episode come out. And thank you so much. Always. I'll pop on anytime I can.
Thanks. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Consulting Trap. If you have suggestions for future episodes or would like to be a guest on our show, please send me an email at brian@podcastchef.com. That's BRIAN at podcastchef.com. Before we go, we'd like to thank the sponsor of our show, Podcast Chef. Podcast Chef helps turn ordinary podcasting into a revenue-generating lead magnet for your consulting business. Our Podcasting Done For You service takes away the headache of starting up and running your own podcast. Reach out now to take advantage of our 30-day money-back guarantee. Visit us at podcastchef.com to find out how our team of experts can help you leverage podcasting to take your business to the next level.